Good morning from Canada. Welcome to our weekly live practice. I'm Joanna. I'll be guiding you for the next 45 minutes. And today's practice is a Hatha class for slowing down. So just make sure that you have your props ready to go. So on my mat, you'll see a block and a blanket. If you can grab 2 blocks, great. If you have a bolster, great, grab that as well. So 2 blocks, a bolster, and a blanket would be awesome. And if you want an eye pillow for Shavasana, you can also grab that too. Tina, can you just let me know that you can hear okay? I just want to be sure before we start. Like I said, this is a Hatha class for slowing down. So just be mindful of that as you start to prepare your space, that we are coming into a quiet and slow practice today. And once you've gathered all your things, you can start to make your way onto your mat. And we're going to begin today's practice in child's pose, Balasana. So I'll meet you over there and we can set up the shape. So for Balasana, you might like to put a blanket under your knees and have your knees as wide as your mat. And you might like to have a prop, like a block for under your forehead. It would look something like this, your arms extending long, your chest lowering, your forehead resting onto your prop. If you have a gap between your pelvis and your heels, you could also put a prop there so that your legs and hips have something to rest against. For this opening shape of Balasana, you can choose to have your arms nice and long and straight if that feels good around your shoulders, or enjoying the elbows a little more bent, adding a bit more softness around those shoulders. See what feels good for you today and begin to settle in. If it's comfortable for you to close your eyes, close your eyes. You might enjoy just rolling your forehead across the floor or across your block, especially if you deal with any tension headaches or migraines. That might feel really good. And then I invite you to really relax into your lower belly and bring some breath there. So you're not trying to draw the belly button towards the spine. You're not trying to hold in your core. You're inviting the belly to hang softly between your legs. I wanted to set the tone for today's practice by opening with a poem by Mary Oliver. The poem is called Mindful. If the words resonate, soak them up. If they don't, just let them pass you by. Every day I see or I hear something that more or less kills me with delight, that leaves me like a needle in the haystack of light. It is what I was born for, to look, to listen, to lose myself inside this soft world, to instruct myself over and over in joy and acclamation. Nor am I talking about the exceptional, the fearful, the dreadful, the very extravagant, but of the ordinary, the common, the very drab, the daily presentations. Oh, good scholar, I say to myself, how can you help but grow wise with such teachings as these? The untrimmable light of the world, the ocean's shine, the prayers that are made out of grass. As you're here, settling into your mat, settling into your initial shape, I invite you to think about this idea of looking and listening and being mindful of your environment and what is. We can get so caught up in the frantic and the busy and the to-dos that we can miss these moments of light and glory and hope. But here we are today. We've made a commitment to slow down, knowing that is why we stepped on our mat, knowing that there is a necessity for more mindfulness, more quiet. And here it is, your opportunity to dissolve external stimuli, to drop into this profound body, to be with your breath, to be with steady movement, and to soothe your nervous system. Start to receive deeper breaths now into the back of your lungs and rib cage. Couple more cycles. And then as you're ready, we'll start to walk our hands towards our legs and slowly roll up through the spine until your head is gently lifted. From this position on your knees and pelvis towards your heels, simply bow your chin towards your chest and take a couple of breaths into the back of your neck. And on your next inhale, roll your right ear towards your right shoulder. Maybe let your left fingertips dangle onto the floor by your side. Breathe into the side of your neck and down your arm. And then hand to thigh, chin to chest. Inhale, roll your left ear to your left shoulder, right fingertips towards the earth. Simply being and feeling. Bring your hand back to your thigh, your chin back to your chest, and slowly roll your head back to neutral. Flutter your eyes open and come onto your hands and knees in tabletop position. Hands under your shoulders, knees under your hips. And from here, we'll take some simple hip sways, right and left, starting to wake up the hips slowly. And then come back to neutral, and let's take cat-cow. So as you inhale, lift your tailbone up, sink your belly towards the floor, and lift your chin and your chest up. And then exhale, rounding the spine, tailbone under, middle back towards the sky, look to your belly button. Inhale, rolling forwards and up. This is your cow pose. And exhale, round the spine, cat. One more cycle. Inhale, forwards and up. Cow pose. And exhale, cat. Come back to a neutral spine. And now walk your hands forwards and wide, keeping your pelvis high to the sky, sinking your chest and your forehead towards the mat. This is puppy pose, Hatha asana. Again, if you need to bend your elbows more to accommodate your shoulders, please do so. If, however, this feels really good through your arms, chest, and shoulders, you might have your arms long or come up onto your fingertips. Arm bones lifting. You might choose to have your arms more parallel of one another or wider in a V shape. For this shape, we are drawing belly button towards spine to massage the digestive system. We're creating a gentle compression in the back of the spine and breathing life and space into the front lines of our torso. This area is often compressed from sitting and working and driving and eating. But it is very important for the health of our spine, for the health of the digestive system, that we allow for space here in the front body. So take a couple more breaths here. On your next inhale breath, walk your hands back underneath your shoulders and take a nice cleansing exhale. Spread your fingers and tuck your toes and start to rise your pelvis towards the sky, coming into downward facing dog. Hugging your heels back and down towards the mat. Extending long through your arms with a little softness through your elbows. Let your head be heavy between your arms and actively move your shoulder blades down the back of your rib cage a little more. Belly button to spine, relaxed head, and lots of breath. If it feels nice to move a little bit in your down dog, do so slowly and mindfully. If down dog does not feel great today, you could always come back to tabletop or child's pose where we were earlier. Now bend your knees and look at your lovely hands and slowly walk your feet to your hands at the top of your mat. Take a halfway lift with a long spine, hands on your shins, Ardha Uttanasana, and exhale, fold and look towards your legs. Now bend deeply into the knees, let your arms be heavy in front of you and roll up through the spine, one vertebra at a time. Go as slow as you can and just notice your spine stacking. One disc on top of the other, rolling all the way up, rolling your shoulders back and down, and standing in Tadasana, mountain pose. Take a breath in and a breath out. Again, like that. Inhale, lift your chin slightly towards the sky. Exhale, chin to chest, and start that ragdoll cycle, rolling down towards the floor, arms dangling in front of you, head heavy, knees soft. Coming all the way down till your fingertips or maybe your knuckles slightly rest towards the floor. And then rolling all the way back up, pressing down into your feet. Restacking the spine. If this ever feels too much, this moving up and down, you can always either pause in Tadasana or in your forward fold, whatever feels best. At the top, take a breath in and a breath out. One more time. Inhale, lifting the chin slightly towards the sky. Exhale, rounding the back. Chin tucks in. Arms dangle in front of you. Coming all the way towards the floor. And this time at the bottom, take a couple of breaths into the backs of your hamstrings. Maybe wrap your hands around opposite elbows and sway a little side to side, breathing life into your back body. Or another favorite of mine right now is just resting the hands on the back of the head, almost with a gentle pull down of the head away from the neck, offering a little decompression. Bring those fingertips back towards the floor. Shuffle your feet as wide as your mat. Turn your toes onto the floor. Heels remain on your mat. And come down into Malasana, Yogi squat. That might mean that you put a block underneath your seat so you have something to sit on. Hands at your heart. Arms pressing to the insides of your legs. Some of you might prefer to be a little higher with your forearms on your thighs, pelvis lifted. And some of you will hover your pelvis just off the earth. Again, hands to heart, arms pressing into inner legs, and the spine extending tall. Breathe into your lower belly. Keep pressing the pinky toe edges of your feet into the mat. And lifting the arches of the feet so you're not collapsing inwards with knees or feet. Everything is open and wide, and there's spaciousness for your chest to lift tall. 3 more breaths. And then from here, we're going to place our hands behind us and lower our pelvis down onto the floor and extend the legs forwards. You can lean back into your hands and just look down at your feet as you wiggle your toes, roll your ankles, and exhale your breath. Being mindful of how you're feeling as you're actively slowing the body down. Bless me, I'm so sorry. And then we'll come into a hip opener from here. I will offer lots of options. You get off the bus at your stop, I like to say. So you'll bend your right knee, the sole of your right foot is on the earth. Your right knee goes into your right hand, and your left hand goes around your right foot. You'll lift your lower right leg up and off the floor and start to just cradle that right leg, moving it right to left, nice and slow and steady. And then in some circular movements, making sure the circle is happening in the hip and not in the knee. Couple of rotations in both directions. And then crossing that right ankle over your left thigh. Inhale, sit nice and tall, both feet flexed. Exhale, hinge forwards, leaning towards your left toes, spine long, chest extending forwards. Now, if this creates any knee or hip sensitivity, you can always use your blocks and place them under that right hip or under that right knee. Or if you have very tight hamstring, you might slide the block or bolster under your left knee so you have a little more bend there. So here we are, hinging forwards perhaps, or if you're already feeling enough sitting upright, then by all means stay upright. Breathe into the sensations you're feeling, whether that is more in the back or the hips. If this is enough for you, then you stay here. If you'd like a little more depth for this right hip and thigh, you'll lift your chest back up, you'll lean back into your hands, bend the left knee and place the left foot on the mat. So now you're in a seated version of figure 4 or thread the needle as you might know it. You can also take the shape on your back body if you like. From here, you're leaning your chest closer towards your right shin, widening your right knee, flexing your right foot, rolling your shoulders back and down. And there's lots of breath here around your outer right hip and thigh. Some of you might enjoy a little rocking of your hips side to side. That can add a little massaging quality to this. Some of you might try and make your shape a little more compact. So if you like, you can walk your pelvis and your left heel a little closer to one another. So the whole shape gets a little tighter and smaller, and this can definitely create more of that hip stretch if that's what you're looking for today. So those are all the options I'm going to offer. You find the best one for you in this moment and settle in. Slowing down your breath and allowing the breath to mindfully travel to where it's needed. Where is the sticky spots? Where are the tight areas? Let your breath soothe and cool and calm those spaces. And we're just going to take 5 more breaths where we are. And after you finish 5 breaths, you're extending your left leg down the mat if it's bent and uncrossing your legs so both legs are long and straight. Exhale your breath here, maybe lean back into your hands again, just roll out your ankles, wiggle your toes, give your hips a little bit of love. Exhale your breath nice and deep. And then we'll begin the second side, so bending the left knee, sole of the left foot to the floor. Left hand and left knee connect. Right hand and left foot connect. You'll lift that lower left leg up and just start to sway the left knee and lower leg a little right to left. Being very mindful that the movement is from the hip. And then find those circles into the left knee. A circle in one direction and then the other. And then cross your left ankle onto your right thigh, starting here with both feet flexed, spine tall. Decide here if you need any of those lovely props, maybe under the left knee or hip or under the right knee. And then sit nice and tall. And exhale, lean forwards with your chest over your two legs, reaching for your right toes. Your hands can stay on the mat or on your left leg or reaching towards your right foot. This is a great stretch for getting into so many targeted areas. The hamstring, the outer hip and thigh, and the back. Again, option to stay here or option to start lifting your chest, putting your hands behind you, bending the right knee, right foot to the mat. And here you are in a seated thread the needle or figure four shape, or again, option to do this from a recline position. So here you might rock a little bit side to side. You might choose to lean forwards a little more with your chest, widening that left knee. You might walk your hands a little closer to the sides of your body. You might make this shape a little more compact, so bringing your pelvis and your right heel closer to one another. And again, those are all the options for this shape. So find the best fit on this side in this moment and take 5 more breaths. And then start to slowly extend your right leg, followed by your left leg. Exhale your breath. Wiggle those toes, roll the ankles once again. So now we're going to come onto our backs for a lovely supported back bend. And this is where you might like a long bolster or a rolled up blanket for the length of your spine. Some of you won't want to put props underneath your body, and that's totally fine. You can still do this without props. If you are using a prop, start to set it up behind you. And if you'd like your head to be on a slight incline, then you can put a block underneath your bolster or blanket so the head is slightly higher than the heart. That's a really good option for people with vertigo or nausea or dizziness. And then option to have your blanket, if you're not already using it, and on the mat, and this is where your pelvis is going to sit. This is one for warmth if your floor is cold, but also having a little elevation for the pelvis might help with any compression you might feel in your lower back. So start to slowly bring the whole spine down onto your support if you have one. Making sure the back of your pelvis remains on the floor. Once you've found this reclined position, just check in that it feels okay for you. If it doesn't, remove your props, no problem. If it does, then we're moving into a position of Supta Badakanasana or reclined butterfly. So you bring the soles of the feet together and let your knees go wide. And here, if you have spare blocks, they might be useful for, again, under your knees or under your hips. If this shape doesn't feel great for your legs or hips, You can extend your legs long and wide like they would be in Shavasana, and let your toes roll out so you're getting a more relaxed position for your hips and legs. Your hands can stay on your body, maybe on your lower belly, or one hand to heart, one hand to belly with your elbows relaxed. Make sure the elbows rest on the floor. Or you're opening your arms wide, palms facing up, shoulders heavy and settling onto the prop beneath you or onto the floor. And here is a great place to practice slowness of breath. So every inhale you take, think about the front lines of your body lifting and expanding. You're actively creating more space. And on your exhale breath, think about the back of your body getting heavier, more relaxed, more soft. You are yielding into the floor without resistance, without any holding back. Five more breaths. And then if you're in butterfly, bring your hands to the outsides of your legs and carefully bring those knees back together. If your legs are long, simply bend the knees and place your feet back onto the mat. From here, you can either lift yourself up or roll to one side, just so that you can remove any props that are under you. Try and do this with as little effort and as slowly as you can. And then come all the way back down onto the floor and just enjoy the mat for a moment. Maybe have your feet wide, knees touching, hands to lower belly. This is a lovely lower back release. And again, just connect to how you're feeling. Has your breath slowed down? Has your breath deepened? How does your physical body feel in this moment? This art of simple slowness. Hug your right knee into your chest, hands around right shin or hamstring, and slide your left leg as far down the mat as is comfortable for you. If it's too much to have the left leg completely straight, add a little more bend into that left knee. You're working a gentle stretch into the front of your left hip flexor and into your lower belly. Your shoulders are relaxing down. And from here, we'll take this right knee up and over to the left side of the mat for a single knee twist. So that might mean you shift your hips a little bit to the right. It might also mean that you bring some of your props with you to put under that right knee as it lands to the left. If you would like to put a block or another cushion or blanket under your right shoulder, you can. And you can either remain with your hands close to your body or open your arms wide across the floor. Breathe full, deep, wide breaths, observing this spiral down your back. Three more breaths. And add a gentle engagement of your core as you bring your right knee back into your chest. And then slowly place both feet to the mat and readjust yourself, realign yourself to center. Take a big inhale and a big exhale. Letting your back settle, allowing for this moment between sides. So not immediately rushing to the next side, allowing for a little bit of space and time for your body to find neutral, to reset. And then the left knee towards your chest and your right leg sliding down your mat. Knee to chest pose or wind release pose. Massaging your lower belly with breath and creating some lovely space for that right hip flexor and into your right psoas. The space of the body is often so tight and compressed. So it is vitally important to give it a bit of love, a little bit of space and time. As you're ready, you can take this into a single knee twist, moving this left knee over to the right side of your mat, maybe shimmying the hips a little bit to the left as you do this. Make sure that left leg is heavy, it's resting into something, whether that is the floor or one of your props. And then either rest your hands on your body or open your arms wide across the floor, breathing down the spine. Twists are a wonderful way to slow things down, to cool the body down, to wring out any stagnation. They're a great option as we move towards Shavasana. Taking 5 more breaths here. And then when you're ready, we'll move back to center, and this time we'll prepare our body for Shavasana. So if you'd like, you could put your bolster under your knees, you could put a block under your head, you could put a blanket under you or over you. You can add an eye pillow if that would feel good. Give yourself full permission for this time. Don't cut your practice short. Don't hurry back to what it was you were doing before this. You're here. You made this commitment. You've given yourself permission for this slowness. So let us seal it in with Shavasana. I will call you when it is time. Until then, there is no more to do. Every day I see or I hear something that more or less kills me with delight, that leaves me like a needle in the haystack of light. It is what I was born for, to look, to listen, to lose myself inside this soft world, to instruct myself over and over in joy and acclamation. Nor am I talking about the exceptional, the fearful, the dreadful, the very extravagant, but of the ordinary, the common, the very drab, the daily presentations. Oh, good scholar, I say to myself, how can you help but grow wise with such teachings as these? The untrimmable light of the world, the ocean's shine, the prayers that are made out of grass. If you have longer to dedicate to your Shavasana today, then please, please stay as you are. Take as long as you need. If, however, it is time for you to come out, I invite you to deepen your breath and bring a little movement back into your fingers and toes and into your wrists and ankles. Take a nice long full body stretch as you inhale. As you exhale, hug your knees to your chest and rock on your back until you're ready to roll onto your side. Finding your way back up and into Sukhasana, tall, comfortable seat to close your practice. Your hands can either rest in Anjali Mudra with the heels of the hands and all the fingertips connected, this symbol of offering and devotion, or you can have your hands gently resting on your thighs. Bow your head sweetly inwards in gratitude for this time, and simply take note of how you're feeling now. And think about how you might infuse this slowness into the rest of your day. One sealing breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. Thank you so much for joining. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Namaste.